So let's go ahead and get ready for 2024, guys. This is the best thing we can do, especially as we're going through kind of this holiday window. It's a very tough time of the year for many people to not get distracted and also break momentum. Momentum's difficult to build, but also difficult to keep. And so we never want to stop. Once we have momentum, we want to keep that momentum. And if you don't have momentum, you broke it. This is the time you need to start building it, because what was I talking about a second ago? Rocket ships and planes, we need a runway. You need to start 2, 3, 6, 12 months ahead of when you're trying to actually achieve something. And so if you don't plant the seed today, it can't grow tomorrow. So I want to talk about why you see a lot of people set goals, but why so few people actually hit goals. The first thing is goals are something that people think they understand. They really don't until they've actually achieved them, and they've done so consistently over a long period of time. You know, anytime I do calls on, I mean, think about like YouTube videos, guys. How many times do you put out stuff that you think is like the most important, and nobody watches those videos or shows up, but then you put out something that you think is not that great, or something like when I was doing my Investor Army channel, I put out like bandit sign videos, like how to take a plastic sign, put it in the corner of a yard, and they get like thousands of views. But I talk about like interest rates and yields and things like this, and nobody watched the videos. So it's either people don't understand it, or they think it's not that important, or they don't want to do it. But I think a lot of people just kind of look at goals as if it's like, hey, yeah, I think about stuff I want. It'd be cool to have this type of thing, or yeah, I would like to achieve this, but they don't really intentionally set goals. And if you don't intentionally set goals, you can't actually achieve them. If they're just held in the mind, they're just a thought, they're just a dream. So what is a goal really when you think about it? This is the object of a person's ambition or effort. It is an aim or desired result. Now, goals are the hope if we take the risk to spend energy for a short or long amount of time. It can be a short or long-term goal, but if we're going to put that energy in, meaning putting time, money, motion, anything behind it, that investment will result in the payout or that desired aim. So what we want is the future. Sorry, guys, I don't know who's got their camera on or audio on, but if you can turn that off, be great. But if we're looking in the future, guys, right? So this is so important to understand. What makes you different? Why are you here in the first place? Why did you show up on this call today? You had a thought that said, I want to show up on this call. So what's different between a horse, an apple, an umbrella, a rubber ducky, a tree, a pig, carrot, rabbit, piece of pizza? Is us in the middle. We have conscious thought. It's the only thing different with us than every single thing in this world. You are made different. Hey guys, I don't know who it is, guys. You need to put on mute. Okay, cool. You're made different with the ability to choose a conscious mind, or you have a conscious mind, and you can choose your thoughts in the present, and you can use the thought to make a decision that can change and alter your future. So think about that. Think about that really closely. Okay. You can choose a thought today that can alter your future. Nothing else can do this. So if you're the only thing that can do this, and this is why you're so special, why are we not doing this more often? Why is it not the only thing that we focus on? Goals are chosen conscious thoughts we make in the present that are the seed or genesis of all worthy outcomes attained in the future. Okay. So my big goals this year, when we went over the goal setting last year, was I wanted to get to 3,000 agents. That was the big goal. So we've done that. And then I wanted to hit the top 25 on the influencer leaderboard. And as of last month, we were ranked number 27. That's for overall largest organization since the beginning of the company. Now for net growth this year, guys, we just moved into striking distance, just so you know. So we should all make a collective goal to finish out this year strong. We are within tens of agents now, Dan Beer, and we gained on him quite a bit last month. We actually have a chance to be the number one net growth organization at eXp Realty this year. So if we have a good month and they have an average month, we will actually do that. So that should be a collective goal. Let's get that done. That's going to be a huge marketing point for all of us next year. But these were the big goals that I had this year, and I hit these basically already. So there's 2 left to pass on the influencer board, but I'm going to talk about how I did this, how I've been consistently hitting goals and achieving goals over the years. Because when I first started out in business, I had no goal setting process. I really just kind of floated and drifted through life, and I didn't think it was that important. But after years and years and years of kind of touching on goal setting and kind of just pretending that I was really setting goals intentfully, I really decided to finally dial things in. Brian Tracy, I don't know if you guys follow Brian Tracy. He is probably the most influential with me, really making me understand that goals save time, but goals increase the likelihood that we make less mistakes. And goals also increase the likelihood that we bring the right people into our life that stay with us once they see that we're doing the same things that they do. And there's many different reasons we need to be setting these goals. But if you cannot choose thoughts, then the future cannot actually be chosen. Do you guys want to live in a world or live a life where your future is just unknown, that you're just floating and you're drifting and you're going to show up somewhere? I mean, imagine getting dropped off in the ocean in a little tiny raft and just saying, let the wind blow me where I want to go. Or do you want to put a giant engine on that thing and drive it directly where you want to go it, or where you want to take it to? I don't know about you guys, but I have a big old motor on my boat, and it's because I want to know exactly where I'm going, not because I want to get float around the world and get drifted by the waves and the wind, right? So your thoughts are the motor boat behind your behind your boat. But if you can choose your thoughts, you can choose the future. But if you can't choose them, you cannot choose the future. Okay. So why do most people not set goals, or set goals like their future depended on it? Because it actually does. Your future is your goal setting process. It is they do not understand it, or they do not believe it actually works. Because if people actually truly believe that if they focus on their goals daily and set them daily and reviewed them daily and spoke them daily and touched them daily, that they'd have them at some point in the future, they'd be moving into a more obsessive mindset on goal setting. But most people kind of touch on goals once a year, or they pretend that they're actually going through a real goal setting process. And they're like, yeah, I set goals when people ask them, but they don't. They really do not set goals the way they need to be doing it. So my definition of a goal is it's everything. Everything that you want in the future that you don't currently have right now comes from a goal. If you want to have, a family, if you want to have a business, if you want to have a successful YouTube channel or social media following, it has to come from a goal setting process. And if you don't, you're never going to achieve it. Now think about anything you really want to have, guys, that you don't currently have in your hands or in your possession at the current moment. The house, the car, the relationship, the business, the health. Where does this come from? It has to come from one place, down at the bottom. If you don't have these things right now, there's only one place, and one place only all completed goals come from, and they come from the future, which is obvious once you point it out. But most people don't think about this as they live their daily life. But they want things, but they don't know where they come from. And where they come from is in the future. And the only way that we have things in the future is to change the thoughts, the decisions, and actions that we make today. So it means that the starting process for every completed goal in the future starts with the belief of who you are now and who you could become in the future. Who you become is painted as a picture in your mind in the present because of wins or losses that you experienced in the past. Now, I've talked about this before, guys, but this is a super important concept to understand here. Humans live in a range of planes. We live in the past, the present, and the future. Now, we all understand this, but we don't ever think about it consciously and understand how this can be used to actually control these different windows of our life that we go through. So the present is where we are conscious, and we make conscious decisions about what we want and who we want to become in the future. The ideas of what we believe we want, big or small, are directly tied to our identity as self-image that we construct from actions and results from our past that we've already lived. So past wins or losses will change your perception of who you are in your mind's eye, causing you to change how you act in life, increasing or decreasing the likelihood of a better future where goals can actually be hit and the life that we want can actually be lived. Okay. So here's the two differences that you really have to understand until goal setting makes sense. Past wins. When we hold the belief in our mind that our past was the best and that our past victory will be the biggest and best of our lives, we submit to this belief and sit down and give up on achieving anything larger in life again. So if we've committed to the past being the best days of our life, then who cares? We're never going to have anything better than what we've already had. So why even try? And if we don't have the thought process of, hey, we can do something more, then the goal setting process goes away. We're just like, whatever, now my best days are behind me. As an ex-athlete, ex-superstar, ex this, ex that, my ex relationship or ex, wife or husband, whatever. When we start thinking like that we're never going to have a better future, we lock down our thought process, we lock down our creative process, and we lock down our process to actually go for it. So it's very important to understand your past has no dictation on the future unless you let it. So past losses, if you've ever suffered a horrible loss in any area of life, such as a failing business, relationship, or financial loss, we judge ourselves from these past mistakes and believe that we are someone who is this person, not someone who can change and then change who we are in the future. So what if David Goggins just thought that he was just going to be this, cockroach, stomping out bug man forever because his past was so bad? What if he believed that he could never be better in the future? He wouldn't even attempt to do it. So the past is really going to dictate how you see your future, guys. It's so important to understand that you do not want to hold yourself back because of past wins or losses. You only want to think about where you want to go, not where you've already been. Okay. So we have the past, which has already happened. Present is currently happened, and the future will happen, good or bad. So on the left, you can see I say decisions are only made in the present, but influenced from the past results and future desires. So it's not just the past that we've already lived, good or bad, that impacts us. It's the way that we look at that in association with the future desires that we actually want to have. So the future is going to happen no matter what. You're going to show up there every time, no matter what, guys. I promise you. But do you want to have the future that you're going to show up in? And if you design it, you'll have way more likelihood to show up where you want to be. So we live in these three planes. We cannot change the future without understanding that past or present. Nothing in the past stops the future, guys. So think down there at the bottom, my identity back when I was had my poker career disappear. I was living in this past loss mindset. This is what almost drove me insane, to where I was depressed and anxious for like years, because I kept committing to myself. And if you didn't know this, I was one of the top online poker players in the world for 8 years until government regulation kicked in. And I just had these cyclical looping thoughts that my past was the best. I was never going to have a better career than I just had, and that there's really no sense in trying. And it led me into one of the most helpless, hopeless windows of my lifetime. But once I changed my belief that my past did not dictate where I was going to go in my future, and I could go anywhere in my future that I wanted if I had the thoughts that I chose, I could go into the real estate industry, the insurance industry. I could start a restaurant. I could start a nonprofit. I could do whatever I wanted. Once I had that belief held in the mind that my past did not control my future, that I control my future with my present thoughts, that's when everything started to change for me. Okay. The goal setting process works like a GPS system. So all that you need to know is where you're at today and where you want to go tomorrow. So if we know where we are and we know where we're going to go, as long as we do not change those GPS coordinates and we keep driving and going down this direction and focusing on what we want and following it up with energy, guys, we will show up at that GPS point at some point. So my present at that time was, I was starting point. I was $100,000 in debt. I knew where I was. So the first thing was I had to identify where I was, and I didn't want to be there. And then just one of my goals, the destination point, the GPS coordinate in the future, is I wanted to be a financially successful individual. I wanted to be a millionaire. So all I needed was these two starting points. I needed the address that I was sitting at and the address that I wanted to show up at, put it into my GPS system. And then along the way, if I put energy into this and keep going, have the foot down, and I'm following the directions that pop up along the way, eventually I'm going to show up there. I didn't need to know, was it going to be in the real estate space? I didn't need to know if I was going to be an insurance agent. I didn't need to know. I just needed to know where I wanted to go and the outcome that I wanted to have, and to never let it leave the mind, and keep trying on a daily basis, moving forward one step at a time. So we're going to go over something here that we've talked about recently here, which is super important for understanding the mind and the achievement process of manifestation, which is the law of vibration. Now, Bob Proctor is the best one out there that's got content on the internet, guys, to teach you guys this, in my opinion. It's where I learned most of this. There's another great book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. You've heard, Sean Scott Batista and, Mihai on here talking about that. But the law of vibration essentially states this: everything is moving and nothing stops moving, because everything is energy. This can in my hand, the microphone I'm speaking into, every single thing that you guys know, perceive, can touch, hear, these words that are being spoken to you is a transference of energy. It's not a word. It's energy flowing through me, being perceived by you guys. So whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So this is so important, this three-step process. This is the secret behind Think and Grow Rich, which is, it is simply that everything in life comes from this three-step process, the intellectual holding of it in the mind first. If you're not thinking of it and not seeing it and not, having it as a thought process first, you can't actually visualize it. And if you can't visualize it, you can't emotionalize it. And if you can't emotionalize it, you can't put risk behind it, meaning you're not going to keep trying because you don't care enough. When things get tough, you'll sit down. So it's the intellectual understanding, the conception in the mind, whatever the mind can conceive. How big is your goal? Are you going to be number one in the world? Are you going to be a multimillionaire? Are you going to have the house? Are you going to hit the goal? Are you going to hit the metrics, right? You have to understand intellectually what you want to have first before you can have it. And then you decide how emotionally involved you want to get into it, the belief that you can have it. I know if I'm going to sacrifice and suffer and work sick and tired and emotionally involve myself in this, that the outcome's going to be there. And then you can physically have it if you do this for a long enough period of time. But you need to create the vision of who you want to become and why you want to become that person, not just that, hey, it'd be cool to have this. Really design the person that you want to become. So we need a strong vision first. The stronger the sensory overload, the more vivid the vision or the memory. So our brain, guys, does many things, but the main two things that it does is it's a historical record of the past. So it's an archive of the life that we've already lived, but it's also a creation tool of the future. So it does both. It plays with the past and the future, but also thinks in the present. Okay. So there's never been anything manifested or created in this world that was not seen in the mind first. No painting was ever painted. No business was ever built. Nothing happens unless it was constructed through a thought construct in the mind first. So daydreaming and visualization will increase goals being hit. How does Michael Jordan hit a free throw with his mind closed or with his eyes closed? He sees it in the mind, and he's done it through repetition with the body. And so the thought plus the repetition of the body creates the physical results. Okay. Famous painting has to be seen in the mind first to go on the wall. The stronger the picture image in the mind, the clearer the vision, the stronger the focus. So if I say, go paint a cat, All you guys are going to go paint a cat, but it's going to look different. Now, if I say paint a black cat, you're going to all have more of a similar painting cat, right? But now if I say paint a fat black cat with a white spot on it, you can start to see the definition of the visual process that we focus on increases the likelihood the future outcome is going to be the same. So if I want everybody to go paint a picture of a cat, there's going to be all sorts of different ones as I define it. I don't want just $1 million. I want $10 million. I want $30 million. I don't just want a 1,400 square foot house. I want a 4,000 square foot house. Define it, right? This is how we achieve it to increase the sensory overload. So this is one of the examples I've given over the years. Think about a baseball game. You can listen to it. You can read about it in the newspaper, listen to it over the radio, watch it on TV, or go to the game in person. So we have all our senses, right? Taste, touch, sound, etc. So if I read it in the newspaper, what am I losing? I'm losing the ability to hear it, feel it. But if I'm listening to the radio, I can hear it over. I can now hear the motion of the voice. It's going to stimulus. The stimulus is going to be overloaded, meaning I'm not just reading about a newspaper. Now I can hear the announcer saying, "Oh man, he hits a long drive back to the left corner. It's going back, right?" It's pumping us up. The emotion we're involving in, we can see the picture now. You can read about the baseball game. You can hear someone hit a home run, but when the announcer's talking and emotionalizing it and the excitement of the voice, you're creating that picture in the mind. You can almost see the game, right? Now we can actually watch it on TV. We can actually see it. So we don't have to picture it in the mind. We're seeing the vision given to us. We're actually watching it play out. Now, if you think about a black and white TV versus a high def television, and you put two in your living room, give the controller to anybody in the world, which one do you think they're going to go watch? They're going to turn both on. You say, watch one of these. Which one do they choose? Of course, they're going to go with the high definition TV because it's sensory overload. Go to the game in person. Now you're there. You're inside the environment. You're around the energy. You can see the people. You can smell the popcorn. You can feel the crack of the bat. You can feel I was just at the Tony Robbins event. 14,000 people jumping up and down. You can feel it while you're there. So this is also important with communication, guys, how you're going to communicate to people. Are you going to text with them through, back and forth messengers? Are you going to call them over the phone? Are you going to do a Zoom presentation? Or are you going to meet people in person? Okay. This being said, how do we take this understanding and set goals that will be more likely for us to hit them in the future? If the law of vibration states that everything is moving and always moving, and everything is energy from a car to a book to a bird, a cat, person, what does it actually mean? How does this actually help us hit our goals? It means we need to understand how we interact with this energy. Okay. So we have an internal world and an external world. We all live in our internal mind by ourselves. So when we're sitting in a room by ourselves with nobody around us, we are living inside of our own mind. Right now, we're all sharing in this shared consciousness. We're in the present. We're all sharing it together at the same moment. But the way that we bridge this external environment where we're all sharing it together is we need to have a bridge, which is how we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. This is how information travels from the external to the internal world. So conceive the goals first in the mind by thinking about who you want to become. Think of the champion version of yourself, guys. Think of the biggest and best, brightest version of yourselves. And I would say go for it all. Like, why ever set a goal? Like, if you want to do something big, set a goal, be number one in the world. I think people set way too small goals. How does someone like a Suman become number two in the world? How does Mike become number one in the world? How do people become number one in the world? They set the goal first and say, I believe that I can actually become number one in the world. If you do not set a goal that has belief behind it, then you're never going to achieve it. So some of you guys are not farther along because you don't believe the goals that you're setting, or you don't believe in yourself as much as you should. And I know how much you should believe in yourselves. Someday, hopefully, some of you guys figure that out on your own, and you set the biggest and most maximum goals that you can set throughout your life and never stop till you achieve them. Be all that you can be. It used to be something we talked about and strive for. Now it's just, I guess, show up and do something today, right? What happened to excellence? What happened to being every single thing you could be in every area of your life? This is super important, guys. Strive to be more, and you can. Now that you have the vision of who you want to become and the GPS ending point of where you're going to go, all successful people understand all success is planned and created. So let's plan it and let's maximize it. So we have these sensory overloaded bridges that we connect between the external and internal environments. We write our goals on pen and paper. This is something I've been doing for years. Grant Cardone talks about how he just writes his goals all day long. I've done this. I have notepad boxes stacked up of just endless notepads of where I wrote my goals, the same goals over and over and over. I write each goal just 10 times a day, over and over and over. Now, why am I doing this? If a thought triggers the vision and the vision creates the manifestation process, try thinking about something when you're writing on pen and paper. Try not thinking about it. So whatever you're writing down on pen and paper, you're forcing yourself to focus on what you're writing. You cannot not think of what you're writing. It's impossible. That's why you're writing it down. The thought's there. That's making you focus on your goal, whatever the mind can conceive, right? The intellectual conception. So you're forcing the intellectual side of this process by writing your goals daily. And what happens is if you don't write your goals daily, the TV is going to think for you. The environment's going to think for you. Scrolling through Instagram is going to think for you. But if you write your goals on pen and paper, you're forcing yourself to think what you know you want to have. And this is putting the GPS sending point right there on pen and paper for you every day. Okay. And also what this does as you're writing something down in word form, talking about before different types of communication, word form, text form, audio form, visual form, this is creating a visual picture and imprinting on the backside of your unconscious mind every time you do this. Then what do? We speak these goals aloud. We speak them into existence, preferably in front of others that are going to hold us accountable. But by speaking these goals daily, what are we also doing? We're forcing ourselves to focus on what we want, the intellectual conception and the emotional involvement. If you guys knew how crazy I was, I used to scream my goals aloud. You've seen The Rock talk about this. You've seen all sorts of people talk about this, how they speak their goals aloud. They speak this vibration into the universe and say, I demand it from the universe. Give it to me. I believe I can have it. I'm going to go get it. Record those spoken goals in your voice and listen to them multiple times daily. Don't just hear other people's goals. Write your own goals. Hear it from your own emotion. How bad do you want it? And speak it with the intensity that you know that you can have it someday. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to make $1 million. Demand it. Go get it. You know you can do this, but you're not pumping yourself up. You're not putting energy through your body. And if your body is used to drive energy forward, let's move forward with the most intense energy that we can drive forward with. Touch these goals. I saw a post from Amanda. She posted a picture of a Porsche the other day. This is exactly what you need to do. You need to go touch and see and experience the things that you want to have. I'm talking about Dan Pena. Some of you guys know he's a little intense, he's a little aggressive, but he's a big believer in this. Go test drive the car that you want. Go to the dealership. Go drive in the neighborhood that you want to live in, the house that you potentially want to have. Go sit in front of it. I used to literally, when I was broke, $100,000 in debt, there's this, I couldn't afford to go even to the big movie theaters, guys. I had to go to the dollar movie theaters, but right next to it there's an expensive neighborhood, Willow Bend, I forget what it's called, Willow Bend Country, maybe I don't know what it's called now, but I'd go sit outside of it and I'd sit in the parking lot. I'd stare across this neighborhood. I'd look at the houses and I'd say, someday I'm going to afford a house like that. I'll be able to have a house like that. And I didn't have these thoughts like those houses were for somebody else. Somebody else gets to live there. That's another person's life, not my life. That was me sitting there saying, I will have that life in the future. And now I can have that life. But I couldn't have had that. I couldn't have gotten here if I didn't have that belief a decade ago of saying, this is possible, this is achievable, and let me go forward with the full belief that can happen and put the energy behind it. And then you just visualize the goals that you want and always hold that visualize them always, all day, all week, forever, until the vision is physical and you've earned the right to say you got to join the lucky club, which is what people are going to say about you guys once you achieve your goals, because they didn't see the runway. They didn't see the sacrificial days that you're putting behind the scenes, those long days that you didn't want to get up in the morning, those tough mornings, right? When you wanted to hit snooze, or when you didn't want to go to the gym, but you did it anyways. Okay. So life creation process comes from defining goals to the smallest detail. Define goals. We went over this a little bit earlier, guys. They need to be defined. Not just a house, what type, how big, how many rooms, do you want a pool? Do you want a basketball court? I'd actually visualize the house that you want and visualize it and design it in your mind and build it someday. Don't say, that's not even good enough just to go buy a pre-constructed house that somebody else built for you. Design the one you want and build it someday. Build the exact house that you want. Every room for the kids that you're going to have. Somewhere for your parents when they get older, if you want. How do you see your life playing out? Not just a car, which year, what color, every single spec on it. Not just I want to be a millionaire. How many millions? People always say, I want to be a millionaire. That doesn't work. How many millions will you have? Right? You have to define the goal, because that's just like saying, I want to go to Texas and putting the GPS. Yeah, you're going to show up in Texas, but where? What neighborhood? Where do you want to actually show up, guys? Okay. So take time to write these goals down. Everything you want in life, from food, medical things, people, relationships. Now assign a dollar amount to it. What I mean by this is go through your life and construct the future life that you want to have. How much money do you spend on food monthly, or how much would it cost to have the life you want? If you had steak dinner every single night and lobster, what would the monthly expense be? How much money do you need to set aside for medical? How much would the house payment be? How much would the car payment be? How much would the payments on everything be? Would it all add up to? what is your total life? Is it 5.7932 million or whatever it is? Is it 10 million? Is it 1 million? What is it? So define everything down, get it to the dollar that you can. So now that you know the expense of what you have to try to achieve, and then create a total life goal expense and reverse engineer and work back into it. I hope I said that right. If you guys get what I'm saying. So figure out what the entire expense of your entire future vision is going to be, so you know what the price tag is. If you don't know what something costs, you're never going to pay the price to go get it. So if you went into a store and you're walking around and you see all these different things in there, but you don't know how much it costs, and some stuff in there could cost, let's say you're looking at watches and some look just as equal to each other, but some are 10,000, some are $10 because some are fake and some are real. You don't know if you don't know what something costs, you don't know what you're going to have to put as far as an effort to go get it, nor do you want to buy it. So like if you didn't know how much it cost to buy certain food at a store or whatever it is, are you going to pay that cost? So you need to define what the actual expenses of what you guys are trying to achieve. Hold on a second, guys. I need to let someone's thing on there real quick. Okay. Now I'm going to go through this next process. Then I'm going to show you the different types of goals I set, guys, and then we'll open up for questions, things like that. But I show this quite often because this is so important to understand that everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. He's saying, basically, without saying it, thinking about what you want all the time. So the thought is the frequency connector. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So why does it matter that everything operates as a frequency? Because if everything is on a frequency, we can match the frequency of what we want, and we can attract that to us and move forward in time towards it, however you want to look at it, which would be what people call the law of attraction. Okay. So because if you match a frequency, you can track what you want. To understand how our mind works, think of Google to understand the matching of the frequencies. So we talked about this before. When you type the word cat into Google, into that search term bar, or you think about YouTube, how does YouTube work with keyword research? We type in the keyword, that shoots out into the Google's infinite intelligence database, all the information summed up on in one spot that it's holding it all, and the frequencies match, and it pulls back the frequency towards us. So you're going to get images, articles of cats, videos, and things like that, not of other animals, right? So Google has an intelligent system in the cloud that we can access by matching the frequency of what we want by typing in the keyword. We attract this to us through Google, the things that we want and desire, by matching the frequency with that keyword.
1 year that
Jose, I think when you guys got your microphone on.
So this was not.
Hold on a second. Okay, cool. Okay, so when we type cat, this matches the frequency, and we get images, articles on the cats, not other animals. So how do we match the frequency of what we want in life? We think about it. So our thought is the frequency attractor, okay? So when we think a thought is the same thing as typing keyword into Google, but we're typing a keyword to match the frequency from the universal intelligence field, that we will pull to us everything we need to attract at that moment. So there's this infinite energy source that runs from around us, in through us, and out through us, which is what we use to create and manifest. And as long as we're thinking about what we want, those thoughts are triggering the creation process. So it's this mass energy that's around us at all time. That's like avoided. It's just like throwing a piece of clay on a piece of table. You can create anything you want with it with your thoughts. So the thoughts that you're going to think are going to be how you mold that voidless form into what you're actually trying to have in the future. So all goals start from a thought first. This means that if all physical things in the shared environment or external world comes from an internal thoughts or from the internal world, which one do you believe? Is it your thinking creates your environment, or do you think your environment creates your thinking? This means that the only way we can change the external environment around us is to change the internal world within us by changing how we think. Okay. So here's how I set my goals. I set them for my health. Obviously, I've been sick a couple of times here recently. This has been a lot on my mind. I'm actually going to go to a facility here later in January for a week, only to work on my health. I'm going to have all the different tests run on me of every different type. I'm going to go through and learn all sorts of different things about how my body works specifically for me, as far as the diet, the food, and everything I put in it. And if you're not intentfully setting goals on how many days you're going to work out, are you going to work out your physical muscles, or are you going to work out cardiovascularly? You should have a full goal setting process for your health, your diet, your sleeping patterns, how many times you're going to work out, what type of workout you're going to do. Are you going to work on your structural, your skeletal system, your muscular system? What are your sleeping patterns and hydration patterns and things like this? Okay. Wealth. For today and tomorrow, how are you going to go about your life with these types of goals? Where are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? And for some of you guys, I'm probably not likely on a call like this. Obviously we're in business to have a better financial future, but some people don't want to actually become wealthy. They don't actually have to have wealth to have a wealthy life. And wealth is relative if you're not looking at it in a relationship to finances, because there's all sorts of people. You go around the world and you see people, they're happy and content in every single financial situation. Some people are broke and debt, and they're happier than people that have $1 billion. So it's not just, wealth as far as finances, it's wealth in all areas of your life, right? Community goals. What do you want to do to impact your community? Are you going to start a nonprofit? Are you going to, donate time to coach your kid's soccer team, help the other kids in the community? How are you going to impact someone outside yourself in the community? The more people that you impact outside yourself, whether it's your local community or your global community using social media, the more impactful your life's going to be, the more fulfilled you feel about yourself. And the more you help others, the better, the happier, and the more fulfilled you're going to have feel inside your body and inside your mind. Your faith goals. Are you a person of faith? If not, have you lost your faith? What is your goal with your religious beliefs? How are you going to live your life? Do you believe someone is watching over you? This is all your individual ability to figure this out in your life. And this is up to you guys, right? Relationships. How many do you want to have? Do you want to have lots of friends, or do you want to have a few really close friends? Do you want to get married? Do you not want to get married? Do you want to have children? How is your relationship with your parents? How's your relationship with your business partners? How are these relationships going? How do you better them? How do you mend some of them? How do you extend some of them? How do you start more of them, right? Personal development. How many books are you going to read this year? Which books are you going to read? Are you going to go to Tony Robbins events? Are you going to go to Ed Mylett? Are you going to go see people? Are you going to go seek out information? Are you going to go travel for information? Are you going to go to the EXP big events? When you're at the events, are you going to go in there and actually sit in the event and actually pay attention to what these people are saying and take it home and apply it to your business and your life? Or are you just going to go get wasted and wake up at 12 every day? Just kidding, right? But not for everybody. But the point is, you need to set a goal of how you want to show up in the future. Material, the things, right? What do you want? Just don't let your material goals overwhelm you guys, because it's good to have things, but you don't want your things to own you. You should own them. And then life experience. What do you want to achieve throughout your life? What destinations do you want to go? Do you want to go to the Philippines? Do you want to go to Thailand? Do you want to go all across Europe? Do you want to go Super Bowl? What are the things that you want to achieve as far as bucket list items? What are these goals that you want to have throughout your life? Okay. Types of goals. Individual task goals. On a daily basis, you're going to have tasks that you do. How well can I do this individual task that I have in front of me? I'm going to do this simple task that I have in front of me over the next 20 minutes, the best I can do this task. Most people don't take time to lay the brick square, and then they wake up at a future with a house that's all broken and having foundation issues and all sorts of alignment issues. If you take the time to look at every brick that you lay or every task that you do and do it the best that you can, I'm going to lay this brick as square as I can, as neatly and as aligned as I can, at some point the foundation is going to turn into something strong that can't be blown down by the wind later, or even the strongest hurricane, okay? When am I going to do this task? So what's the best time to do it? Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? Is it right after lunch? When am I going to go to the gym? When I'm at the gym, am I going to sit there and kind of just take a lot of time between sets? Or am I going to play around on my phone? Or am I going there with intent to do this task the best I can do this task? How frequently, how often am I going to do this? Am I going to do it, every day, multiple times a day? We need to know how often we're doing our tasks so we know how to plan a future and plan our day, which allows us to help us have a more planned future. How can I do it better and faster? Now, this task that I'm doing right here in front of me, like optimizing a YouTube video or doing a marketing campaign, how can I study this task? Where can I shave off seconds? If you get in the habit of saving off seconds, you're going to shave off minutes, then hours and days, and you're going to achieve your goals faster. Can I have someone help me or do this for me? Talk about the maximum time management, outsourcing or delegation. If I can have someone else do it for me, I relieve my time of it completely, okay? Daily goals, types of goals, okay? We're going to daily goals. Is my day planned before it starts? Those who plan their day ahead of their day achieve massive success in comparison to those who do not plan their day. If you guys are waking up and you guys are just deciding to float through the day and just say, it's a Monday, I'm here, and you're waiting for an email to come in or a phone call to come in, you're running a reactionary business and you're running a reactionary lifestyle. And if you're reacting to everything, you're not planning everything. And if you do not plan what you want in the future, you cannot actually have it. Everybody else is dictating what you have in your future, okay? So we need to plan our day ahead of time. What time of day is best to do certain tasks? So it's not just that, hey, I know today my daily goals are to go to the gym and my daily goals are to record some YouTube videos. How am I going to structure my day in a way that I plan my day ahead of time so that I flow from task to task to task so I have the most efficient day possible? Is it better to go to the gym in the morning? What happens if you go to the gym in the morning and you're tired the rest of the day? Some people go to the gym in the morning and that energy and their energy is increased throughout the day. Some of you guys go to the gym at the end of the day. When are you going to do these tasks? Okay. Can I combine multiple daily tasks or goals? Remember, the best way to combine tasks are to do physical goals and mental goals at the same time. So you can't do two physical goals at the same time. You can't, go run a marathon and then, hang up Christmas lights at the same time. It doesn't work. But you can hang up Christmas lights, which is a physical goal. You're out there doing it, but listening to a podcast, that's a mental goal. Same thing with the gym. Think about where you can combine mental goals and physical goals to maximize and amplify the day. So if you have a 1 hour task that you did 2 times individually, which was 2 hours, but you combine them, now you're getting 2 hours out of 1 hour. If you do this a few times a day, you can see the separation you can have on other people and other competitors, right? Time management goals. How do you move from task to task? How do you have the efficiency between tasks on that day? You should have goals to, when a call ends like this, or when a call ends that you had, or when you're going to pick up your kids or whatever, how is the most efficient time, or how do I do this in the most efficient time management way that I'm bridging between activity to activity where I'm not wasting time and having that time leakage? This is really where a lot of us hold ourselves back from achieving goals is we don't think about task transition throughout the day. We don't think about how to plan our day ahead of time, meaning I've got to go show a couple houses. I got to go do, run by a couple properties. What's the fastest way to do this? Am I looking at the traffic? Am I looking at, what are the peak periods of traffic throughout the day? When can I do this to have the highest and most efficient day? And then think about how you're going to plan your day with your high leverage activity goals and your low leverage activity goals. Sorry guys, someone's got their microphone on. But if you read a book called Eat That Frog, this is a very important book that Brian Tracy wrote that's basically pointing out why people don't achieve things. It's because they go after their low leverage activity tasks. They go after the easiest things to do. They have a task list of say 5, 10, 15, 20 things, 2 or 3 things at the top, take the most focus, the most energy, the most effort, and they never get done because everybody wants to go to the bottom of the list and knock off the easy ones. Make a quick phone call, knock out a quick email, do a recurring post or something like that. What y'all need to do is flip that and invert that list. And all the things that you don't want to do first, you need to do those first. And all the things that are easy to do those at the end of the day when your energy levels are down, where that you don't need a lot of focus. At the beginning of your day, your energy levels are the highest, your glycogen levels are the highest, your focus is the highest, you're going to vibrate at the highest frequency, and you're going to achieve the most at the beginning of the day. You're never going to do a difficult task that needs a high level of focus and high level of energy at the end of the day, put that way. So at bottom, do my daily goals move me closer to my biggest long-term goals? Weekly goals. How are you planning your week? When are you going to do certain daily activities? Do you have daily goals adding up to win the week? How do they add up on top of each other? How many hours are you going to work this week? Are you going to work 100 hours this week? Are you going to work 20 hours this week? Let's say you're going to work 70 hours a week. Is that 10 hours a day? Or some weeks or some days you're going to work 16 hours and some days you're going to work a few hours, right? When are the hours that you're going to work? What is it in your schedule, right? You hear Mike say that all the time. If it's not in your schedule, it's not going to happen. Which days are best to complete certain tasks? So are there tasks that you need to do for your personal life and business life? Are you going to do your personal life tasks at the beginning of the week or your business life tasks at the beginning of the week? Many of them start moving into family, leisure, hobby, and all those start certain things. So think about how you're going to plan your week to have the most efficient week and get the most out of it. Do I have to just adjust my week because of unknown conflicts? How am I going to adjust if something pops up? Let's say like an emergency pops up. When am I going to fit this in my schedule? How am I going to approach this? Do I leave gappage time throughout my week? Meaning, do I have time gaps where I have, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, just in case things pop up so I can fill in this time? Are there holidays or external changes? Right now, this is a big one, right? We just went through Thanksgiving and Halloween. We've got Christmas and New Year's. When are you going to do certain things that you've always done recurring? What happens if a holiday lands on this? Let's say you're always doing something that's set in your schedule on a Thursday, and all of a sudden on that Thursday, here comes a holiday. How are you going to adjust off this? Thinking ahead, right? And then how's the weather this week? This is a big one. There's all sorts of different things that affect our goals. Looking ahead of the week, you guys should be doing this. So looking and say, if you're going to show houses, what day of the week is the best to take my clients around? A day that's raining the day before and there's storms and the yards are going to be all blown out and things like that. Let's say you're a hobbyist, are you going to go run? For example, like myself, I like to go fishing. This is one of the things I do for a hobby. Is it going to be raining outside? What's the temperature going to be? I'm planning my week ahead of the time by looking at the weather, by looking at the external environment, looking at everything around me. And I'm always asking, do my weekly goals move me closer to my biggest long-term goals? Now, the monthly goals, very similar, right? How do I do my daily and weekly goals, or how do my daily and weekly goals add up to hitting my monthly goals? So you want to look at them all as a building on compound effects. So we start out with our task individual goals on a small scale. Then we have daily goals, then weekly goals. These all add up to hitting our monthly goals, or monthly goals up to annual goals, lifelong goals, and legacy goals, afterlife goals. So do I have to travel or have big events coming up? So when we're thinking on monthly level, we need to start thinking farther in the future. Am I going to go to EXPCon? Am I going to, go to my friend's wedding and things like this? How am I going to plan ahead of time and put these in my schedule? And does it affect my weekly schedule, which affects my daily schedule? Do I do this month or next month? When am I going to do this? Am I going to take the kids to Disney World, this month or over summer, right? How are we going to plan long term? So the farther you set your goals in the future, meaning if you set your goals for a year, 5, 30 years, the more likely you are to hit your goals. So many people focus on the tasks, the daily goals, sometimes a weekly goal, a few things go in the monthly goal, but very rarely do they start setting annual goals or multi-year or longer goals. But the longer you forward think in the future, the more likely that your short-term goals are going to get hit, as well as your long-term goals being hit, because the short-term goals get hit, it leads to the long-term goals being hit. Which month am I going to finish this? Think about like a book. Say you're going to start a book or a home study course or something like that. Today, when am I going to hit it? 6 months from now, 3 months from now? I'm giving myself a year. Make sure you put some time compression on these goals, guys. What time of month should this be done? Early or later in the month? And then do my monthly goals move me closer to my biggest long-term goals? We're almost done, guys. Lifetime goals. Did I become who I wanted to become? Did I hit my career net worth if that was a financial goal? Did I have the family and the children? Did they hit their goals? Did I help them hit their goals? Did I hit my goals? If I achieve this, will I have any regrets in a successful life? Meaning the goals for my lifetime. Set goals that you say in your mind that if you hit these goals and you achieve these goals, that you'll look back on the life and you lived a life that you wanted to live and not one of regret. How long will I live? Some of you guys need to start thinking about that. How am I going to protect my health, my future? How am I going to, with all the advancements and things like that, especially if it comes to making money, guys, living an extra couple decades with the compounding of money is massive over time. So start thinking of how does money compound year after year, and how do I cycle it forward? And if I increase my life, I increase my net worth. So someone that makes $1 million and has $1 million after tax at 30 is, most people say, not the same if you're at 50. Well, really, is that the case? What if one that's at 50 lives to 100, but that one at 30 lives to 60 because they had bad daily goals and they didn't hit their health goals? So time is relative only in relationship to how we see it and perceive it. How many people will be impacted if I achieve my life goals? Well, my family, my friends, my community, the world, right? I will never quit on anything. There should be a goal for everything, for anybody and everybody, on everything. Okay. And the last one I want to talk about real quick is legacy goals, which would be our lifetime or afterlife goals. How can I make an impact, and how can I make an impact for my loved ones once gone? Think about like revenue share, right? It's willable. So you're working hard to do something, or building like a rental portfolio, and then all of a sudden you pass away. What did you do throughout your life that it's a legacy goal, meaning it's going to continue on after you to impact those that you love while you're still around? Okay. So the rev share is a powerful one. How can I help once I'm gone? What are you going to do in your lifetime that's so once you're gone, you're still making an impact? Think of you guys right now, they're putting content all over the internet. This is going to transcend you and be left behind you. How do I set a financial vehicle to fund my passion once gone? Am I going to set up trusts? Am I going to, what am I going to do throughout my life so that once I'm gone, I'm still hitting my goals and I'm still helping those that are going to be here once I'm gone? Will I leave a life where my name lasts beyond it? How do I position future generations for the better? Did I leave the world a better place than when I got here? What would make my life worth living? Can I make the world a better place? Do my legacy goals change the world for some, or many, or all of us? Okay. And then the last thing, so these are kind of like how I set my goals. If I really break them down for you guys, if I screenshot that. And then goal cards. This is something that I've done for years. So I've got this from Bob Proctor. So, I've carried these goal cards with me. I don't know if you guys see what I'm holding up. But this is one I wrote at the beginning of the year right here. And what this goal says is, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am the number one 2023 EXPNet Growth Leader of the Year. And just to show you guys that this is what I do. I don't know if you can hear this. So this is written down at the beginning of the year. You know, I've had these goals right here. So this is the basic one that Bob Proctor always says. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources of income on a continuous basis. And you can see I sign these cards. I carry them with me. This is my big one. You can see I've worn it out. It is that I've had this for a long time, which says, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have over 10,000 EXP agents in the Wolfpack Redemption organization and that we have all 7 tiers open. So I've been writing goal cards down and I put goals on my wall, and I was able to pull off a number of them this year is where I get to take them down. So I was just showing you some examples because like, I think a lot of times people don't think that we actually do this. So this, you can see this one's worn because I fold it because I carry it with me, right? This is my biggest goal that I have with me. This is only going to hit 10,000 agents. This is a goal that I wrote at the beginning of the year. So you can see it doesn't have to be special, it just has to be written. So it's basically saying that I want to become the number 1 net growth leader of the year. And right now we're number 2 and have a very good chance. So the things that I put on pen and paper actually have the ability to become real. If I didn't, and I've been doing this for a decade, guys. And in the beginning, I used to kind of dabble in this type of stuff. And I would just kind of do dreaming and I'd just dab like, you know, I'd write a goal down because I thought I needed to, because people told me it's January 1st, right? I live by my goal setting process. Like I've got my visual goals reach of me at all times. I have all across my board. Every single thing around me is words, pictures, visions, reminding me of who I want to become and why I'm trying to do that. And I'm forced, because if I don't do that, if I don't create an environment like this around me, guess what's been created around me already? An external environment from the news and fear and hate and anger and you know, just division and destruction. I'm going to put words around me that create unity, hope, faith, belief systems, you know, a positive future, a positive outcome, the things that I want to see myself show up as, not what the world's going to tell me I have to become. The world's going to tell you go work a job for someone else and help their goals and dreams come true. You know, watch everybody else have the life that they want, not you. This is bullshit. It's not true. You need to tell yourself who you are, what you want to become, and actually go do it. And don't listen to noise around you. Let them all have that life. You're going to decide you're going to be different. You're going to be one of the ones that transcends. You're going to be one that shows up on a daily basis, focuses on what you want daily, never stops happening until you show up at the day when that thing that you want is actually there. And that's what we call success. And I see we're running up on the end of the hour, guys. I'm going to stop talking now. But if you guys want to ask me questions or go into any of this, I'm going to read through the chat real quick. I'd be glad to go give you my take on anything. But I treat goal setting like it's my future very intentfully, because what I realize is it is. And that all these goals I put on pen and paper a decade ago, it's not a shock that I'm having them happen now. I want you guys to have that same thing happen for you. But you have to treat this serious. You have to treat it like every day when you're writing your goals down, that this is actually what's going to happen for you. Because if you don't do that, then it's not going to become real. Christopher, I see your hand up.
Yeah,
feel free to just
yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, thank you. So quick question for you. Would this be recorded? Because I had to log in just a little late and I wanted to revisit this video.
Yes, it's recorded. So my assistant's putting them into the mastermind course, and there's a G Drive link. So you should get an email that goes out. And if you scroll through there, there's like a course says the mastermind recordings. There's a bunch of different tabs. He's putting the dates on them. You may have to go. They're not going to be in like a sequential order.
Sure.
You may have to scroll down and click through, but you should be able to kind of look at the categories. And this one will go in there somewhere
Awesome.
under goal setting.
Awesome. Next question. The Bob Proctor cards, is there a book associated with that? Or, because I'm looking through his books now to see if there is. How did you learn about that?
So he wrote a book called like Born to Be Rich, I think it's called, but he talks about this in his YouTube videos. Okay. So I came across Bob Proctor because when I was $100,000 in debt, hating my life in every way, somehow I stumbled across Napoleon Hill's black and white recordings of his 17 principles of success, which I have right there on my wall. Okay. If you guys memorize Napoleon Hill's 17 principles of success, I told myself, if I memorize these and live by these, I'm going to have the life that I want and become a financially successful individual. And that's exactly what happens. So I would memorize those 17 principles of success, but that led me to Think and Grow Rich, which led me to all these other thought leaders. And then that led me to Bob Proctor, who's a big believer of Think and Grow Rich. But in some of his videos, he talks about the goal setting process of starting the goal with "I am so happy and grateful now." Now, when you think about those words, what he's forcing us to do is remember what we say and what we talk about and what we think. The words cause our feelings. So he's shifting you into the right vibration. I'm so happy and grateful. These are two powerful emotions to feel all the time. So it's forcing us to start from a good vibration, a good frequency, and it's speaking from the I am position. I am this, not I could be this, or I can't, or you wouldn't be saying I am, I can. Most of us tell ourselves that, I can't become something. But if you speak from the present like you have it, but also review it daily, and then it's just your overall goal. But I would just type in like Bob Proctor goal cards or goal setting process.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be I'm so happy and grateful now. It can be a combination, but the principles behind how you're going to speak those goals. And Grant Cardone's got videos out there way back in the day. You probably have to type in through keyword research, thinking about how we're just talking about how our thoughts are the keywords. Mm-hmm. You just type in those keywords, and I would go through and see how they do that. But I've just been doing this way because it's worked. And really what it is the conscious focusing on what you want on a daily basis. Certainly. That's going to make you think about what you want. And then the more you think about what you want, the more you're going to have to think about how you get what you want. And the more you think about how you get what you want, the more you're going to solve the problems, which is what's going to lead you to having that. Does that make sense a little bit?
It does. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chris. We got a question coming in. I read the book by Dan Sullivan, Ben Hardy, especially Who Not How? Dan, I've not, but it sounds like one I should probably get. I'm just going to the chat box, guys. Feel free to unmute yourself if you like. Brian Tracy, goal plans. Yeah, Brian Tracy wrote a book called Eat That Frog that he really goes into the efficiency of a day and goal setting. But I would go watch Brian Tracy's YouTube channel. He's got a ton of videos. So Brian Tracy is the one who really helped me with like efficiency, task transitioning, how to plan and how to, he goes into like something in one of his books where he talks about like, every minute plan saves 11 minutes tomorrow with all the studies. So like most people don't want to sit there and plan their day because they think they just need to get into doing a task. It's just like when people say, I don't have time to work out. Well, that hour that you put in today can exponentially return time tomorrow. You're going to increase your energy levels. You're going to live longer, all sorts of different ways. So we always play with a sacrifice of time on the short term, but it always causes us a bigger waste of time on the long term. So we always say, well, I don't have time to go to the gym, or I don't have time to write my goals down, or I don't have time to go do this or that, because you think that you don't have time to do it. But if you think about, if you invest a minute of pre-planning today, it's going to save you 11 minutes tomorrow. You don't have the time to not do it. You're saving future time by the investment of time today, but people think it is a waste of time, and that's why they don't do it. That kind of makes sense a little bit. You can also
Connor.
give your input. Yes.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes, you can.
I need help with something, right? I hope maybe it'll help everybody else. Changing my vibration just really worked like a charm last week, right? Doing the workouts every day at a certain time, getting on the calls, and my vibration on Friday was just through the roof. I needed to calm down, right? Yet that weekend, my phone's been blowing up all week with different real estate situations, right? So I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? So yesterday, you answered the question partly. At the last thing is what you said is like, don't listen to the noise. So I got someone's noise last night at 9:00, and it disturbed me. And I felt like it was like, okay, well, I'm on a different journey to this other person. And it was to do with the videos, right? Because I was told by the top, you guys, go out and be raw. That's what people like. So I said, all right, I'll go be raw, right? So I'm getting feedback on that I listened to. And I couldn't sleep last night because I listened to it. So now I'm like, no, I'm changing. I'm being different. Where I'm on it, I took on that noise, and it's been playing in my head all morning. So I couldn't wait to get on this call, and here you are talking about it, right? So what I need is reminders, right? I did go for a longer walk today, but what I need is reminders, because my goals are big, right? And that noise always stops me. always stops me. I always get to a point where I feel, well, who the hell am I? You know what I mean? And get to a point where like, okay, listen to that noise and doing what they say, and and that's when I get stuck, and that's when I see myself going back down and having to try to pull myself back up out. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, you gotta understand life is a battle of sales. Everything is sales. And the most important thing is that you sell yourself when you're in private, that you are not who you think you are at the moment. So like if you can't sell yourself, like when I was $100,000 in debt, living at home with my parents, sleeping on a twin size bed, trying to build a business off a bar stool, it was tough to sell myself that I had a better future than that. I mean, at one point I thought I was gonna end up homeless, like, or living with my parents forever, be like 55 living with my mom and dad, right? I had to sell myself that this is not how things are going to be. And so the first thing is you need to have the awareness of where you are, which is starting point, and where you want to go, which is the ending point. It didn't matter where I was, how bad things were. So like, let's say I plant a seed. I could take a seed of a flower and I could go plant it into the wealthiest neighborhood in the world. I can just go plant it in their garden. It's going to grow. I can take that same seed and go into the lowest income area in the world and find some soil and plant that seed in that soil. It's still going to grow. So what that means is that conscious thought can start wherever in the world. It doesn't matter if you're at the lowest income level in the environment or in the best environment there is. That seed goes in the ground, it's watered and nurtured enough, it will grow no matter where it's planted. So the first thing is I had to realize it doesn't matter where I'm at. I have a garden here that I'm going to plant the right seeds to grow it tomorrow. And so the next thing is you have to change. Like our life is a current construct. So our present environment is a summation of the conscious thoughts and decisions that we've made to put energy behind throughout our life. So if we don't have the things that we want, something has to change. And then change is what we want to push away from, because change is uncomfortable. So you're going to get that feeling that, like, this feels awkward. This doesn't feel like me. This is feeling, because you're changing. But in order for you to have the change that you want, if you don't have the life you want, you have to make radical change. So like we talked about this before, like if you don't like your wardrobe and your closet's full, you have to take all those clothes out of that closet so you can have the change to put new clothes in there. But until you remove what's there blocking the space for that new you can't have that new you, right? So you have to eliminate that past. So as you start to change your friends and your relationships, you're going to start getting into new environments. You're going to feel different. It's going to feel awkward, and it's going to make you want to do what? Run back to the common patterns, the habits, the paradigms that we've already created. Yes. So you just need to know when you're feeling that uncomfortable feeling, and when you feel things are changing and people are looking at you, your friends and family, that is, you're stepping out and you're starting that process of making the change. And that uncomfortable feeling is trying to pull you back. You have to push through it. You have to keep going. That feeling is the feeling that you're doing things right. When you're at the gym and you're getting to those last reps, when the adversity comes in, that's the sign that you're building and breaking down your muscles. It's not the sign that, hey, stop. It's the sign to do a couple more reps and do one more if you can, right? So everything you're doing is fine. You need to stay on that process. Now, our mind works off a habitual loop of repetition. So you've been telling yourself a story for so many years and decades, many of us, and it's just simply not true. I don't deserve to be successful. I grew up the wrong way. I look a certain way, or I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. But you may not be that way at the present moment. But if you build skill sets and you do this on a daily basis over time, you're going to like David Goggins, when he was a cockroach hunter, did not, like his thoughts at that moment were not the same as he's now. I'm the biggest badass in the world, basically, right? He had to shift those thoughts. So the thoughts that we tell ourselves through repetition, which is what happens when you write your goals down daily, is it forces you to focus on what you want. So every day, write your goals down. And then when you're driving around the car, speak them loud. Listen to them on audio tape when you're going to bed or while you're getting ready in the morning. Tell them to people around you. Drive to the, once a week and go drive by the car dealership you want. So the more you're focusing on them, the more that you're going to do the things that it takes to achieve them. But when we don't focus on them daily, what do we fill our mind with? What the world fills it with. That's when the social media posts come in, and then we scroll. So you're writing your goals daily is a straight combat, going toe-to-toe, full-on battle with the world trying to influence you. You're reminding yourself what you want to influence yourself of. And so if you're not writing your goals daily, every day someone else is writing your future for you when you really think about it. But everything you're doing is right, and it's going to feel uncomfortable until you achieve it.
Thank
you.
In
that zone of stay uncomfortable.
Thanks.
I mean, like Garth. I saw a post with Garth. You're talking about he was running and he was cramping, his legs cramped, and then he finished it up. So Garth had the choice to stop at that moment or embrace the feeling of being uncomfortable. Garth, if you want to talk about that. You can talk about that. So like he could have quit and stepped, and he was trying to run a marathon. I don't know if you're on here, Garth, still, but but he got to that point where his legs were cramping, and it's like, okay, here's the choice of, do I push through from being uncomfortable or not? And then what happens when you push to the point of uncomfortableness? You achieve the result, and you finish the race.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Anything else you guys want to go over? Any questions or anybody want to contribute or anything? Good to go. Can you add me to? Yes, Michael, I'll add you. Somebody had a question?
Yeah, I'd like to put this out there real quick. I'm new to Colorado. Just got my license here. I am licensed in Hawaii also, and have been running my business in Hawaii. Just relocated, so I still have it. My son helps me with it, all the stuff on Maui, and I have all the connections there. So I wanted to put that out there. If anybody has any referrals that they would like to work on a referral basis from here to Hawaii, I love to help out, and look forward to really expanding my business here in this group. I'm new to the Wolfpack, so thank you guys.
Welcome to the Wolfpack, Bruce. Yep, I'd also post in the Facebook. Say that again. Sorry,
great. 21 years in Maui, so I've got some experience there. So, and I have had some clients from Colorado, but like I said, a lot of people buy from Canada, and I know there's Canadians on here. So anybody I can help out, look forward to helping.
Thank you, Bruce. I make sure to post in those groups, but I got nothing else for you guys. I'll just leave it like this. You know, we all know we need to set goals. I wanted to do this before the end of the year. I didn't want to wait till like January and right before. I wanted you to realize that this should be done in general. Also, as we're going through like a goal destruction window, which is like Christmas time window, hardest time of the year to really stay focused. It gets cold. Our energy levels go down. We want to sleep in with hoodies and sweatpants all day. And we give ourselves rationalizations to break our patterns and things like that. But you guys can do whatever you want. I know this because I was at a point where I was just like, man, like I saw no future for myself. And then setting goals consistently for a decade, this is the result of doing it. And this is exactly what I've done. It's create visual reminders, audio reminders all over your house. Like I had goals written on my, not to this extent anymore, but I used to have goals literally on my steering wheel, on my refrigerator door, all over my mirrors in my bathroom, every single where I'd spend time in my life. Like if I spent more than a few minutes of focus, I had the messages of what my future wanted to be in front of me. So I'm always seeing the picture. I'm always reminding myself of it. And I can tell you that this is what's led me to kind of get here. But if I didn't have these reminders everywhere I was all the time, I'd forget what I was trying to accomplish. I'd forget who I wanted to be. And many times also, as we're moving through life, we change and we evolve and we become a different person. And sometimes our goals change, but ultimately we need to have long-term targets as far as out in the future that we have as a lifelong goal. That we're going to hit, because we can't, you know, like if we bounce around too much, we're going to change the destination point too much. Now, along the way, you may have some like standard deviations, you know, like you're going down the highway and they say there's a detour. You may have to go off to a few miles to the right to merge with another highway. But all that matters is, you know, the ending point on where you're trying to be with all these different goals. But I'd set some massive goals for 2024, guys. I'm actually pretty bullish on it. I think I'm actually meeting a lot more people that are a little bit more bullish on 2024. I think that it's actually gonna be a better year. I mean, I would really think that you guys should start focusing on having the right mindset. Like every year is going to be a good year. Every week's going to be a good week, because you can expect good or bad. You don't really know what the future is going to hold, but at least when you think things are going to work out well,